How you doing, guys? This is going to be a very brief video. It was just a couple of things that I picked up. I didn't pick up. I got last week, I think it was. I forgot to mention it when I was doing my sort of pick up video thing earlier on this week. So it's a very short video. Now the first thing I got. I'm an old fart, as you probably know. Now I was 16 years old. I was 16 back in I was 15 back in 1982, just when the arcade was at its absolute peak with Pac-Man, you know, Rally X, Galaxian, whatever, you know, the arcades were in full flow. And I was very lucky that my mum and dad took me to America. I had an aunt that stayed out in America, and we went out there for a holiday. Just myself, my mum and dad, my two sisters. They were they had got married at that point. But we went out to America, and we went to, where did we go? We went to Reno, Nevada, which is like described as little Las Vegas. Anyway, I'm kind of digressing slightly, but the arcade, woof, bloody hell. Now, I mean, when being a kid growing up in central Scotland, we really didn't have any arcades around. I mean, I know a lot of you guys, you know, arcades. I mean, I've got mates who they grew up playing the arcades. You know, they'd spend the weekend, they'd spend night times doing the arcades. Living in Scotland, certainly in middle Scotland. I mean, I come from a place called Livingston, which is basically between Edinburgh and Glasgow. There was just no arcades really about. So the only exposure I ever got to arcades was when we would go on holiday. I mean, primarily it was camping trips. We used to go down south, down to near London, a place called Roydon, which is outside in Essex, I think it was. And the only exposure I had to arcades would be when we were driving down probably the A1 and, you know, the M1, not the M1, yeah, it was the M1 down London. And, you know, we would stop in the services. My mum would always make packed lunches up because, you know, we couldn't afford to buy fancy food and services, but we used to stop in the service stations for a pish, obviously, and there was always maybe half a dozen arcade machines, and if I was lucky I would maybe get money to have one shot in one of them. So that was really the only exposure I got. The other exposure I got to arcade games would be, you know, I mean, I remember my dad and I went camping up in a place called Strathire, and there was a kind of a camp club type thing. You went up at night, and they had, was it Space Invaders and Galaxian, I think it was. We got to play that. Then there was a sports centre in Livingston. I used to go up there and, you know, play squash, and I was in a judo club for a very short space of time, and they had, what did they have? They had Space Invaders machine. That was the very first machine they had. Then they eventually got rid of that, and they got a track and field machine, and you know, and then after that it was 1942. They got a 1942 machine, and again, because my exposure to actual getting to play these things at first hand, it was so rare that I got to play these machines. When I did, you know, my game was over in probably about a minute. I mean, because I was just crap. I mean, I didn't have a chance to practice these games, and so it says when I did play it, my shot was over so quickly. But anyway, going back to this trip in America, we went out to Reno, Nevada for a couple of days, and I remember walking into an arcade, and it was just like, my goodness, I had arrived. This was like the most biggest arcade ever. There was every single machine under the sun. Centipede, Missile Command, Asteroids, Space Invaders, Galaxian, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, Rally X, God, you name it, Berserk. I remember playing Berserk. Everything. I was just like, you know, I think because I couldn't see these things myself, when I suddenly got, but the funny thing was, I mean, 1982, I didn't have a computer in 1982, and I never got the exposure to, I didn't get to play arcade machines because I didn't live anywhere near any arcades. But the funny thing was, when I did go across there, I don't know why, or how I should say, I knew about the existence of all these machines, So, you know, it wasn't like I arrived and I think, what on earth are these? I mean, it must have been in the news and papers and that kind of stuff. I mean, I must have bought magazines at some point. I think I may have actually bought computer and video games. But anyway, when I got there were all these machines and I was just like, it was like arcade heaven, absolutely amazing. And I remember at one point, I was, as I said, because I was shite, I very rarely, I didn't play them that often, and if I did play them, you know, I was on for 30 seconds, a minute tops. But I think I probably spent most of my time just wandering around and looking at them and watching people playing them. And I remember looking at a Rally X machine, and there was a guy doing in his knees, he had the sort of coin door thing open, and he was fixing it. And I was just standing sort of watching him. And then as he got up to, you know, he closed the door and he turned round, and as he got up to kind of walk away, he saw me and he said, "Oh, do you want a shot, buddy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yes please." And he opened the door up again and he pressed this little button sort of half a dozen times. He says, there you go, buddy." And he'd basically given me like 6 credits to play this game, and I just thought that was amazing, you know. It was, so I played that. I played my 6 games of Rally X, and I probably was on it for about 5 minutes, if that, because I was just rubbish. But anyway, I'm waffling again, guys. The point of this video wasn't to tell you my history of arcade games or anything like that. When I was there, I remember I saw this book, and it was basically how to master arcade games or video games, and I picked it up, and I remember reading it from back to front. But the funny thing was, I was reading about all these games that I never ever got a chance to see. I mean, I didn't even, there was no such thing as the internet or YouTube or anything like that. So I was reading about games that I'd never seen in my life, and I was never going to see. So it was kind of quite a bizarre thing to do when you think about it. But I loved this book. I can remember just reading about it, and I don't know, it was just like, oh, you know, if I could, this would be great to be able to play these games. And just reading about them was the next best thing. You know, I didn't even get to see them. There was no such thing as, I says, like you couldn't see pictures of them or anything like that. The only other time I said I did get to play arcade games was once a year. Me and my mate, there was basically it was a day trip to Blackpool. It was like kind of a community thing, you know. It was in the newspaper. It was like, I don't know, a fiver or something. You paid. You got on the bus early in Blackpool. You got on the bus early morning, drove down, stopped at service stations. I remember playing, what was it? I remember seeing Commando for the first time. It was in Blackpool services, or it wasn't Blackpool services. It was services on the M6 probably, and playing Commando. I says then, obviously going down to Blackpool, you know, you got to experience all these games. The only other one place I did get to play a lot of games was, my dad was a founder member of the rugby club in Livingston, and of course I was down there a lot of the time. Most Saturdays we'd go down to watch the rugby, and they always had an arcade game, and it would change over the years, as it did in any of these places. You know, chip shops, they would keep them for a short time and then change it. Games that I remember distinctly from the rugby club would be Xavius. They had Asteroids. They had, I don't know, Pac-Man. What was the other one? They had Phoenix. I remember playing Phoenix down there. It's funny how, I don't know if you guys think about this, but when I think of an arcade game, I think about where I was when I saw it. Every arcade game I've got, it takes me back to a certain place. Like, I think of Galaxian, and I think of Heathrow Terminal waiting to fly to America in 1982. That's where I remember Galaxian. Space Invaders is the sports centre. Track and Field is probably the sports centre as well. But yeah, Commando was Blackpool services. Yeah, I can't even remember. I've lost my train of thought. What was I talking about there? Can't remember. Blackpool. Yeah, getting to Blackpool. And anyway, yeah. So day trip to Blackpool type thing. The rugby club. That's right. It's not the rugby club. See, that's what happens when you get to old age like me. Now, here's something you might be able to help me with. There was a game that I played, they had in the rugby club. Now, it was one of these, it was a cocktail cab. You sat down, I think it was 2 players, 1 person, you faced each other. You sat down, it was a long, sort of horizontal cab. You sat down. Now, it was kind of, well, it also had Scramble. I remember playing Scramble. That was another rugby club game. The game was it scrolled from left to right, as they do. Now you were a submarine. Now it's not, what's it called? Is it In the Deep or something? There's a Neo Geo game, or it's not a Neo Geo game, I can't remember. There's a game that came out maybe the 90s, whatever it was, when you play the part of submarine. It wasn't that. I'm sure it was called In the Deep. Might be wrong. It's not that. That was way ahead of its time. This was one of the first arcade games. You played the part of a little kind of submarine, and it played similar to Scramble, but you were underwater. And I can remember seeing like little depth charges, you know, kind of they were floating, they were tied to little chains, they were also tied into the sort of the seabed. You had these little mines floating, and so it was left to right, and it was kind of similar to Scramble, but it was, you played the part of a submarine. Now, I mean, I've got MAME, and MAME's got, I don't know how many games, maybe 2,000 games, probably more if you get the full thing. And I've gone through it, and I can't find this game. I can't find it. It might be one of these obscure kind of bootlegs. I know there was, you know, there was companies who would take the hardware from, like, say Scramble, and then they would kind of fudge it and they would change the code and make their own games. But I just can't find that game. I've never seen it. I can't remember the name of it. I don't know, Depth Charge or something. I don't know what it was called. It was colour graphics, scrolled left to right, similar to Scramble, but you played the part of a little submarine, and I'm sure you could fire, you know, like missiles, and you also fired kind of depth charges as well. If anybody can help me with the name of the game, please let me know, because it's been bugging me for quite a number of years. I've asked about it in the past and nobody seems to remember it. So yeah, that was that one. But going back to the pickup thing, bought this book. I read it from, you know, cover to cover several times, you know, but I never got a chance to play these things. Anyway, fast forward, where are we? I don't know, 32 years? Christ, I feel old. Fast forward 32 years, and I was watching one of the Shadows Knows fellow YouTuber. He's brilliant. he's just awesome. He's funny. He does these compare videos. He'll play like Renegade on the C64 Spectrum. He play it on 3 or 4 different systems. He's a German guy. He's wonderful. I love his videos. He's really dry, and he's got about the shortest patience of anybody I've ever known. He's funny. He loses the rag quite frequently with games, but he's really entertaining. And he actually got this particular book for his birthday recently. And when I watched this video, and it just suddenly it just triggered a memory, because I don't know what happened to the book. I had it in 1982, and it was probably flung out long ago. But the Shadows Knows got this for his birthday, and I asked him where he got it from, and he told me he got it from Amazon. So what did I do? I went on to, I think it was actually eBay. I went on to, and lo and behold, bam, 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 here it is. It even smells 32 years old. Absolutely awesome. How to master the video games. Fantastic. I mean, it's completely, you know, there's not any screenshots. I mean, there's it's just, can you see that? It's just drawings. Astro Blaster, I mean, what games has it got in it? Millions of people play them, billions of dollars are splurged, and now the revolutionary 7-step method to improve your scores in the hottest new games of the fantastic computer age. In fact, do you know what I'm going to do? Yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this to the test. When I get my MAME cab, which my mate Dave gave me an update on it. It's the cab is now built. He's got all the bezel cut. He's got all the wood cut. He's got all the spaces for the buttons. It's fully finished. What he needs to do now is paint it. He's told me he's got to sand it, and he's got to give it 3 undercoats, then give it 3 top coats. So that's going to take quite a while. And then he's got to assemble all the gubbins, the PC, joysticks, etc, etc. The trackball, so he's got all that to do, but he's hopeful it's going to be finished in the middle of this week coming. So with any luck, guys, I should hopefully be getting my new MAME cab to sit over there, and I shall be doing I'm not going to do a pickup video, but I'm going to give you an overview of it. and see it in action. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this game to the test. 7 easy steps to improve your scores. So what I'll do is I'll pick a game that I've never played before. I'll play it without this book. Then I shall try and put this book into practice and see if it makes me any better. The games that it features, let's see what it says. Just wonder if no, I'm just looking to see. It says here my thanks to, and I thought it might give you some guys that I've heard of, but I can't say there's anybody in here that I've heard of, like Bill, what's his name? Bill Mitchell. He doesn't seem to be in it. Yeah, anyway, here we go. The games I've got is split into different types. You've got Space Invader type games, Asteroid type games, Maze games, Reflex games, and miscellaneous games. It's even got a section for off-machine exercises. So you've also got to exercise to play this. Space Invader type games, you've got Astro Blaster, Astro Fighter, Centipede, Galaxian, Gorf, Mooncrester, Phoenix, Plaids, Space Invaders, Space Invaders Part 2. Asteroid type games, you've got Asteroids, Asteroids Deluxe, Defender, Scramble, Space Fury, Space Odyssey, Star Castle. Maze games, you've got Armour Attack, Berserk, Pac-Man, Rally X, Targ, Venture, Wizard of War. Reflex games, you've got Monaco GP, Sky Raider, Space Zap, and miscellaneous games, you've got Battlezone, Crazy Climber, Missile Command. And that's it. So yeah, I'm going to put that to the test. I mean, there's the Asteroids Deluxe. Hey, fantastic. So yeah, that's it. I shall I'll follow that. I'll pick a game and see how we get on with it. And the very last bit of this video is another little thing that I bought recently. Now I've showed you before, there's a chap, Darren, he does Beads AC Start he's called. Have a look on Facebook. He does these bead art things. He's made a few for my daughter Ava, absolutely fantastic. And I asked him to do a couple for me. I wanted the Rolling Thunder characters, I wanted one of the evil henchmen, and I also wanted Agent Albatross. So I'm going to turn the camera around and let you see what he did for me. There we go. I've just noticed I've had this zoomed in, so hopefully it's not another one of these really close-up video things again. So anyway, yep, these are about, you can see, let's see, there's my hand. I've not got the biggest hand in the world, but you can see roughly it's about, I don't know, 2 hands in size, something like that. Absolutely fantastic, love them to bits. So anyway guys, as usual, thanks for watching.